And we're live. Not yet. Hey, everybody, how are you? I'm just trying to figure out all the ways the camera's working and which way I got to look because I've had a few technical difficulties on season one, episode number 12, I believe. Am I right, Paula?
Yes, you are.
Look at that for a change, for God's sakes. I can't get balloons or anything working in this thing, but welcome to the show. Welcome. We are without Linda tonight because she is doing something that is very important, and she won't be able to make it, but she will be on next week. And we're still looking for the crazy Christmas sweaters and everything else that we have to go with it. So I can't wait for all of that. And I'm hoping that everyone is doing well so far. I'm just honestly trying to figure out which way to look, and I look either way, and I'm trying to find the camera because I'm using an iPad. Anyway, listen, we're going to have a good show. We've got Valerie Avila. Oh, I never asked how to say her name. I'm so horrible that way. And she's going to say it herself. And then we have Brenda, okay, Schmidt. And both of these people work with people who are deaf. And one of them, Brenda, has written a book. And the other one, I'm going to give you a little bit of bio on both of them. But holy cow, have I got two amazing women on our show tonight? Neither one is intuitive, but they have to be because they just do and love people. So they're empathic. I'm still going to answer a lot of questions. We're going to keep them on here. And if you have questions for them, please don't hesitate to ask. They will give you everything. We will have their bios and everything at the end of the day today, but it's going to be a very good show. I want to know, hey, how is everyone doing in the Mercury retrograde? Some people are having a rough time. I've had a rough day, but better than normal. And I'm just hoping that all of you are doing just as well as I am. We're healthy, happy, and we got our wits about us. And I can't wait to do some live readings with all of you at the same time. So if there's anything that any of you need to know, just keep on putting it in the chat. Copy and paste it so that you can repeat it so you don't have to rewrite it. Make sure you put your birth dates in, years, who cares? We're all happy, we're all healthy. And then we're just going to go from there. I've got they should be a sponsor, right? I've got my Tim Hortons Christmas mug full of tea. I've got my lights, and look at that beautiful tie. And that's what I can do right now. My ugly sweater comes on the last show on the 17th. And then we're going to get to see who participates. The first place gets a 50-minute reading for free. Second one, 30-minute reading for free. Third one gets a 20-minute reading for free from me. And it's open for 6 months. And you can pick it at any time you want. Okay? So I'm looking forward to that. And Paula, how was your week so far? Good?
Only Tuesday, so I can't complain.
I do like Tuesdays. Tuesdays are pretty cool. So I'm just going to start asking. I'm going to be bringing on Brenda and Val very shortly here, but I want to tell the audience a little bit about these two amazing people, okay? So Brenda Schmidt is dedicated advocate for individuals with hearing loss, drawing from her personal journey of a progressive hearing loss. She is a retired deaf and hard of hearing teacher, followed by a DHH educational program administrator in the state of Illinois. Brenda has spent 39 years in education, passionately promoting awareness and understanding of hearing loss in schools and communities. And what I just learned today, out of our world population, only 1% has hearing loss, which is a lot. And it's not really shared with very many people. So tonight, we're going to take that time and share with a lot of others, okay? Brenda is why I have her on the show, is now an author of a new children's book aimed at raising awareness about hearing loss. which serves as a valuable resource for children and families navigating the challenges associated with hearing loss. Though her writing, through her writing, she seeks to foster empathy and understanding in young and old readers, empowering them to embrace diversity in various modes of communication and acceptance of all, regardless of hearing ability. In addition to her work as an educator and an author, wow, she's got an author title to her now. Look at her. That's amazing. Brenda is an event organizer for CHAMPS, an initiative dedicated to supporting teens with hearing loss. This is a platform she creates opportunities for connection, empowerment, and confidence in developing self-advocacy skills, helping young people navigate their unique experience and challenges. Brenda's commitment to the accessibility and inclusion is a reflection of her work and community engagement. She is passionate about creating space where all individuals, regardless of their hearing abilities, can thrive and be heard. When she's not advocating for DHH community or organization events, Brenda enjoys spending time with her immediate and extended family, exploring new hobbies, and connecting with others who share passion, raising awareness about hearing loss. And we have some questions that I'm going to ask her as well as we go through this. And I'm also going to go in between and answer some psychic questions, okay? So Brenda, the author, will be coming on in a minute, along with Valerie Avi. Oh, my God, I'm not butchering this name. I am not. So Valerie, you're going to say your name and make it right. I don't know why this little crazy Frenchman can't do it, but maybe I'm just not doing it right. And you can correct me. Valerie Avila is the CEO and founder of Monarch LLC, a trailblazing organization dedicated to advancing equality and access in the interpreting industry. She's got a lot of big educational things for such a young lady. Okay, a nationally certified interpreter through the renowned Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf. It's called RID or RID. Val brings over 10 years of expertise as a trilingual interpreter, fluent in Spanish, English, and American Sign Language, ASL. She specializes in bridging communication gaps across diverse communities with professionalism and cultural sensitivity. Based in the vibrant Bay Area of California, she is a proud first-generation Mexican American and a passionate advocate for inclusion. As a queer professional, she brings a unique perspective to her work, consulting and coaching emerging ASL interpreters to help them thrive in their career. Beyond her professional endeavors, Val is an animal lover who enjoys spending time with her beloved pets. I've seen a few of them. Through her leadership, she is shaping the future of interpreting with compassion, expertise, and an unwavering commitment to community. And that much I can tell you. She thrives on working within the community itself that she lives in, and I love that. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on both Brenda first and then bring on Val so that we know who the author is. And it seems like we got some redheads in the show tonight. One is Paula, of course, and then we have Brenda, who's a redhead. So here we go. I hope everyone's doing well, by the way. Hi, Brenda.
Hello. How are you?
I am doing well, and I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
We had a few minutes to talk, and I'm going to be asking some questions, and I'm going to bring along the interpreter so that we can all have a little bit of a conversation and have some fun tonight.
Okay.
And I know this was last minute, but thank you so much for coming on tonight, okay?
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
This is great. Thank you. I just might lose my computer today because I just lost everything, and we'll try that again. It must be Mercury retrograde because I just disconnected everything. Craziness. Okay. Without further ado, we're going to bring on Val now. And she's going to be here in a second because we're very slow here, you know. So we don't want to be that. And I hope that we have a good day. And one more person coming on, and there she is.
Okay.
and she's almost on mute. Val, you're on mute, and I can't fix it. There we are. Hi, Val. Welcome. You guys have some extensive education and passion for your jobs, that's for sure. And Brenda, working in the community for as long as you have, you always wanted to do this book, right?
I did. I have a very vivid memory of the first sounds I heard when I got hearing aids, and it's been in my mind forever. And it's been a bucket list thing of mine to want to write this book. And I always knew the title. It was called She Heard Her Footsteps.
Wow.
And then it just developed from there.
That's amazing. So I have some questions like I'm curious about. What motivated you to become a teacher and an administrator, specifically for the deaf and hard of hearing, DHH, as we want to call it, for children?
Right, deaf and hard of hearing. You know, I found that, to be honest, I was worried about having a progressive hearing loss and being stuck in a job where I could not hear. And I kept thinking, what can I do with a job that you don't need to be able to hear? And what came to me was becoming a teacher of deaf and hard of hearing. You can do that job without being able to hear. But when I went to college to start learning about it, I discovered myself and started learning about myself. And it was like, oh, this is my calling. This is what I need to do. I went into the field out to help other families and children and their relatives and everybody to navigate this journey, along with seeing what I was able to accomplish. And then becoming an administrator was after about 19 years of being a teacher, being frustrated with seeing what was not being done for kids. I decided that I was going to get out there and do what needed to be done for kids.
Amazing.
So that's why, yeah.
That's amazing. And now, Val, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
I talked a lot about what was going on with you too. You are a highly educated young lady, and you have such passion to this. What inspired you to become an ASL interpreter? Sorry. Like,
yeah. So really, it was just meeting a deaf person. It happened in high school. And in addition to that, I grew up speaking Spanish. I went into the education system without knowing any English, so I can understand barriers to access when it comes to language and communication. So the moment I met a deaf person, I knew I wanted to learn ASL, and then it just happened to be that my deaf educators and peers encouraged me to pursue a degree in interpreting, and I did, and I found it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, are there a lot of people educated in your field to do this?
Yes. So there's several interpreting programs out in the United States. You can get a degree in interpreting, which is what I did. I went to the California State University Northridge in Southern California, and I specialized in deaf studies with a concentration in interpreting. But there's other ways too, and I'm sure Brenda can add to this, where you have children of deaf adults that grow up with sign language and then later on become interpreters because they've been interpreting their entire lives. So not the only way, but is one option that you have. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, question for Brenda. What inspired you to write the children's book, Hearing Loss Awareness? And can you show us that little book? Do you have it handy?
Oh, yes, I do. Hang on 1 second. I will grab it.
We can. And I'm going to go for another question. Wow. You see, I love live. I do. So what's the most common misconceptions about interpreting profession, and how do you address them? Like, what's the biggest one for you?
Gosh, I would say the biggest one is that I already know the deaf person that I'm going to be interpreting for. And it's not true. A lot of the times I'm meeting that person for the first time. And if you really think about it, it's a really big thing to ask a person to automatically trust a stranger. I'm showing up to facilitate communication, and we could be talking about a serious health condition or about your financial situation or purchasing a house and signing one of the biggest contracts of your life. So it's a huge misconception that people don't realize how much trust the deaf community has to give up to interpreters.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Brenda, where is that
Oh.
beautiful book of yours?
So here is the book. Okay. I don't
That's
know why
okay.
it's blurry a little bit. It's called She Heard Her Footsteps.
Yeah.
And I wrote this book. There's Lily. She says hi. We wrote this book to help families who, let's say 95% of kids who are born with hearing loss are born into hearing families, and they don't understand hearing loss at all. So I wrote this book to develop an awareness for these families to help their children to understand and empathize with these kids. And it's written from a childlike perspective,
That works for me.
but it gives a multitude of messages to people. And I have to say that my illustrator was connected with me through a mutual deaf friend, and the illustrator is from Columbia School of Arts in Ohio, Columbus School of Arts in Ohio, and she created the pictures for this book as well. It's just a beautifully illustrated book that gives some ideas of what it's like to have and learn about a new hearing loss.
And colors in the book are very beautiful. They're prominent. They're
vivid.
And is that an important thing to have in the book to catch our attention, or is it this was just the illustrator herself, but was that a thought?
It was a thought that someone with a hearing loss experiences the world with many, many colors, but not the sounds. And so they were learning and adding the sounds to their world as well, and just enriching it that much more.
That's amazing.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. It totally does. I mean, that's where we come from, right? And that's what we're always trying to learn. So we're going to go for a couple of more questions here. And this time it's for Val. So how do you tailor your approach to consulting to interpreters with different backgrounds or goals?
Yeah. Before I answer that, I just want to mention to Brenda's book how beautiful that is. And I can only imagine the deaf kids' like faces when they're seeing the colors and the pictures, and they feel a sense of connection to the character. So I work with deaf children, and oftentimes they are really drawn to the books that have a lot of visual emphasis and where they can feel a sense of connection in their identity, and not only maybe their deaf identity, but maybe their cultural backgrounds too. So I really love just all of the vibrant colors in your book. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
it's nice to I'm kind of lucky to get two people in the field doing two different things, but also doing the same thing at this. Like, wow, that's awesome.
Together.
It's like having the room of psychics that we usually have on here, you know? Wow. Brenda, how do you think self-advocacy skills benefit the DHH teens as they transition into adulthood? That's got to be really, really hard.
Yes, one of the difficulties for many deaf and hard of hearing teens is that they are the only one in their school, and they don't see any other kids that have a hearing loss, and so they want to spend their time hiding, and they're ashamed, and they don't want to be brave and stand up for themselves and say, I didn't hear you, or I need you to rephrase that. So my deal with teaching self-advocacy skills for kids is to give them the confidence and the encouragement to be able to speak up for themselves and do this. I was that kid. I was hide my hearing aids, and I didn't want to share with anybody because you were different. The best thing I ever saw was another kid with hearing aids. I was drawn to them like a magnet. I wanted to go and say, "Oh, look, we're the same." You know, It's amazing. Most kids that are deaf and hard of hearing do not know another kid that is.
Oh.
There's a few groups that are deaf and hard of hearing programs that are cluster classes where they can get together, but most kids are not.
Yeah, I was only drawn to kids at school that wanted to skip school. And there were, and there were a lot of them. I like, but it was okay. It was all right. We got in trouble together too, so it was all right.
Oh, of course.
So
I want to add to Brenda that I really think it's beautiful that you're teaching these kids to self-advocate, because I'm lucky enough to work with a deaf educator in that deaf and hard of hearing program where I interpret. And she has a really, really high emphasis on educating her students to learn self-advocacy. So oftentimes I will be the interpreter going to the mainstream classes, and the students will want to ask me for clarification when they should be asking the teacher. And I work side by side with the teacher on the strategies we'll develop to make sure that the student knows how to ask for the teacher. So what I'll do as an interpreter is I'll explain to them, these are like kids who are 8 going to like first grade, second grade, like, I'm your interpreter for this year, but Val may not be your interpreter for the rest of your life. So when Val's here and when your teacher's not here, what are you going to do? You're going to have to teacher. And a lot of the times they're just shocked, and it does take a lot of encouragement, but the moment that they develop that skill and you just see them do it themselves, it's a tearjerker. I've literally cried just
I agree.
It's so important. So I'm so glad that you're the second option for them to learn that.
And I can't tell you how many times we've had to educate general education teachers about the role of an interpreter, because I will tell them, no, you don't go over to the interpreter and say, tell him what I was going to say. No, you speak directly to the kid. You have to educate those teachers too. And that's very important part of their job.
I've had teachers come up to me and ask me, like, do you mind teaching them this? And I'm like, oh, I'm not the tutor. I am not the teacher.
No.
You are the teacher, and I'm here to facilitate the communication.
Yeah.
Mind you, there are other moments where maybe I will support a little bit more, but there has to be a clear boundary with what my role is as an interpreter and the teacher's role is. So you're right. That's another misconception, Jim, as we talked about the role of an interpreter. And we are not the teachers. We are there so you can talk to the child.
Right.
And that's pretty cool. That is cool. So when you have the teacher, do you get do you get positive feedback from a teacher if you're trying to tell them what to do? Like, because I love the education system. It's there. But do you have teachers that want to do it just their way, even though it's the wrong way? Do you have to correct them a lot in that regard? Like, do you have to give a shit for not paying attention?
I have funny stories of teachers in a high school that said, I don't want that person following me. They're standing next to me. They're bugging me, the interpreter. And you have to educate them so much. I mean, some teachers just really, they don't get it. They don't get it. But you just keep pushing and you keep pushing and you keep educating. And
so maybe that's book 2 for the adults. We've got to be straightened up and we've got to learn. So I think this is just a small version of it. And I'm learning so much in the last 20 minutes. It's insane. I love this because I know the fan base here are very like the intuitive stuff and all of that, but you two, you give us the ability to use additional senses. Like Brenda, you have 4 senses, but now you have 5, right? Because you have you're specializing, right?
Kind of, right.
Kind of.
I am very lucky that I can benefit from the hearing aids that I can. Some people can't benefit as much as I can, but I'm very lucky that I can.
Which is great. And I'm not going off topic because I'm trying not to, but my wife works with a hospital here in Toronto, and they tell us that the elders who lose their hearing, that tends to make them go into a form of dementia or Alzheimer's.
Yes.
well, right? And
Yes.
we don't pay attention to that ever because, I'm the ex concert goer and listening to Black Sabbath in front of their speakers, and
Yep.
and I'm going, I can get that. It took 3 days for that ringing to leave my ears, and I'm going, I'm going to be fine. I'm not
Mhm.
fine,
No, there's many, many research studies that show that hearing loss can happen from that,
That's
and that
crazy.
it does lead to dementia um, if you don't take care of it.
Right,
So,
right. I just don't know how to turn Jill off sometimes. I know you knew that was going to come out right away. And
oh yeah.
that's why we have Paula on mute half the time because I just don't want to listen.
Well, my family learned that when I get mad at them and I don't want to listen, I just turn the hearing aids off.
It's true. And the kids do that too. If they have cochlear implants or their hearing aids, they'll just take off the cochlear.
Yep. Or close your eyes.
I love these
Yeah.
kids.
Nope.
I just have to, come on, give me your
Yeah.
eye. Not that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Last question for Val. How do you use social media and other platforms to raise awareness about the importance of interpreting and consulting? And I'm going to pretty well ask you the same question, Brenda, but I'm just kind of curious. You both can share, but please, let's have some insight on this one.
Yes, so I have TikTok and Instagram, and I post short reels about what the role of an interpreter is. We briefly talked about misconceptions, and I have a reel that expands a little bit more about misconceptions. I talk about the things interpreters do to prepare. And so a lot of people are really fascinated with like concert interpreting, but they don't realize the amount of time it takes before the concert to prepare to actually show up and be ready and provide the access that we do. So I use my social media just to provide education about what interpreters really do and to beat the misconceptions, because oftentimes the education lands on the deaf people and the deaf community, and it should not be their responsibility to educate the hearing population. It should be those of us who straddle the line of both worlds, like I do. And I do it alone because I'm not deaf. I don't know their experience, but I do it alongside with my deaf friends or the people who I call my family that happen to be deaf. So it's out there. If you're interested, you can watch it, learn about it, or even if you're interested in becoming an interpreter, it's like a cool resource to kind of gain some insight about what we do.
That's awesome. Great answer. Thank you.
And there's a huge shortage of interpreters right now, so you really need to look into that
Yes.
as a profession.
Yeah, and even worse, if you know more than one language, like I'm trilingual, I'm fluent in Spanish, English, and ASL, and there's a huge deaf Latin population that's not being served. You have deaf children who know ASL, but their parents speak only Spanish. So bigger communication gap, because I can count the number of interpreters in California on both of my hands. I know them all. It's that bad. So we
Yeah.
really need people to get into the field and to provide access and work alongside the deaf community. It's really important. You're absolutely right, Brenda.
That's insane. That's insane. Hopefully, we put a little bit more awareness out there and into next year, because I definitely will have both of you back next year, and we're going to do a full show. But all of our regulars are welcome, but you have enough time now in the next couple of months to get everybody on. And I'm going to have to learn sign as well. So you two are going to have to teach me in between.
And I am creating a new book and probably a series of books now because of this happening, getting ideas for what Lily can do for everyone.
So
I'm excited about that. Hopefully have an announcement soon about a second book.
Brenda, your first book, how do we get it? How do we purchase it? That kind of thing.
Well, it is on Amazon.com.
Okay.
If you look at She Heard Her Footsteps, just look up that title. It's right on there. And I listed it at a small cost. I'm not in this to make money. I just want the book out there. And so
We love
Please,
you then.
please
We just love
think
you, Brenda.
think about it as a stocking stuffer for kids or something. That would be a really good idea.
I want a signed autograph one for sure.
Okay,
You know,
absolutely.
so we've got to get that done. That's going to be something that will be put up on my tchotchke wall over here, and that's going to be
Okay.
very good. I can't wait for that one.
Okay.
Val, how do we get a hold of you now? Through your side of social media? And I'm going to ask Brenda the same thing if she's doing that. But where do we get a hold of you?
So I forgot to mention my handle. Instagram handle is monarch_ASL_interpreter. TikTok is the same, Monarch ASL Interpreter. You can also find me on LinkedIn using my name, Valerie Avila. Or I believe my email will be shared after this if I'm correct. So you can always email me if you're curious about providing accessibilities or how to effectively work with interpreters. Or again, if you're interested in becoming an interpreter and need coaching or guidance, I'm your gal.
That's amazing. Thank you. Brenda, other
And
than
for
the
me-
book, how do we get a hold of you if we need some information?
Okay, there is an email out there. It's called Lily's Footsteps Book at gmail.com.
Okay.
And then I believe my Instagram is hashtag Lily's Footsteps. So
Okay.
if you look on there, you can find that. Those should be two good ways that you can get in connection with me.
Perfect.
And I
It is-
sent those links to you. Hopefully they could share at the end.
which we will be doing for
Okay.
sure. And I'm going to get asked a lot of questions after the show because I get amazing emails from everyone, and because they just say, where is it? And we'll just give out our email shortly and have all of that done. We are at the 30-minute mark where this was only going to be 10 or 15 minutes. Look at that that fur mama. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And what have we got with you, Brenda? Nice. That's amazing. That's beautiful. Now, the two of you are you're both tied for first place right now. Okay. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going with this. Now listen, the last half hour is going to be with the crew, and they're going to be asking me some questions. Some people might want to come on because we have to look at their sweaters to get that to win the prizes, the first 3 prizes. But I wouldn't mind you two staying on if you feel like in it. But if you have to go, you have to go. But I'm just going to start reading people, and people will understand what I do. And we will just vote and take a look, because I'll need your votes, just not Paula and mine tonight, because Linda's missing, so we get to do this.
Fun.
Perfect. Hey, Paula.
Yes.
How many questions have we got, if any?
Well, we had a comment from somebody named Brandon that said, "Love you, Mom, even if you turned your hearing aids off on us in the car." Sometimes. And then he's always happy to translate for you at McDonald's.
Yes, he is.
Beautiful. That's awesome. And
Selena likes your sweater, Brenda.
Oh, thank you.
And I did put the link to your Amazon page in this chat, but I'll put it to the Amazon page for your book. And I did put it in the chat, but we can put it in the details at the end of the show too. And
I am putting on another page on my website that we are working on, and I will have you listed up there for people to look for, because I think it's very important that we have good people in this world, in this community, with all the bullshit that's going on in life, that we have 2 people that really, really do care. And I just love the whole thing. So thank you. So do we have any questions at all? Anybody want to know things, Paula? No, I mean, there's a few people in here that are involved in the community as well a bit. Some of our regulars even. Okay. Kate R. She's where she lives, there is a large deaf community, and there are schools for the deaf in the area as well. So, and she actually has a family member that was born deaf as well. So, oh wow,
yeah, so this has been a good show for her.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, actually, she learned us ASL, but she hasn't used it for about 6 years. So I said, well, perhaps tonight we'll reinvigorate all of that.
Yeah. So I
And
have
I'm
to make a comment. I'm sorry, real quick, that I am using the feature of closed captioning on Zoom. So make sure that you know that that is a feature that is available on here. Very important, and it's helping me to understand what people are saying. So it's closed
Wow.
captioning on Zoom.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Thank you. So everybody, is there anything, if they don't have questions, I'm just going to go to other things right now. Val, what is your birthday?
My birthday is August 8th, 1991.
Wow. That was a very fast year, wasn't it? Okay. So, as we know, Leos are always trying to be very, very liberal in their thinking. They're very loving people. They care about the things that they do. They can be strugglers with their perfectionism on all levels, no matter what they do. I know so many Leos that do that. The arguments that you have are always, are they sure they're going to be okay? And then our spouses or our girlfriends or partners are going, we've told you a million times, but you don't listen, and because you need to hear it from them first. And then we tell you, we told you so, and then you just go, oh yeah, I know. So that's cool.
True. My wife for me to say, you're right.
Yes, it's always good to make those things up and to have, at least we know that we're doing the right thing at a lot of different times. Brenda, you and I had talked many times, right? And what is your birth date?
January 20th. You need to know the year?
No, but we're cusping. You're the cusper between the Capricorn and the beautiful Aquarius. And now we're in the sign of Aquarius for 2025. So everything comes to you now. Opportunity, friendships, relationships, a lot of travel. There's going to be some interest in there. And it's just not to go see your granddaughter.
Aw.
Okay. So there's going to be a lot out there. And 2025 is a year of where all the hard work that you've put in for the rest of your life, everything is going to be returned back to you for the way that you've been treating us. Now we're going to treat you with that love and compassion at the same time. So that's pretty good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And by the way, everyone, Paula just passed her birthday on Sunday. And she is a Sagittarius. And not only is she hard-headed, but she is one of the most amazing human beings out there who always watches out for us. She has a memory of the smallest details from 30 years ago. And I don't know how she does it, but she does it. And it's always, I couldn't have asked for a better friend than Paula because of what she does. So she's just an amazing person. I love that. So I can't see YouTube today because I'm not getting anything, and I don't know why. There we go. Oh, here we are. Okay, so now I'm on. Selena, hi, how are you? Sarah, how are you? Marie de Rochier, she has a question, or did we already ask those? Michelle de Rochier. Is it the same type of signing in different languages, or is it a universal signing?
That's a really good question.
You guys want to share it? Because I don't know.
It's different in every area. It's like you have different dialects in the countries. So sign language is different in every area too.
Yeah. Wow. And different in every country as well. So have ASL, which is American Sign Language, and then in Mexico, you'll have Mexican Sign Language, which is called LSM. And then there's French, sign language. There's so many different sign languages. Yeah.
I don't know how you can sign in French because we have so many slang swear words, and that's all I know.
Yeah. Guys, ASL has its own like slangs and
Yeah,
different.
they have their own swear words too.
Oh, do they?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
That swear word. Those are interesting. Swear words are a big deal for me. You know, I've got the potty mouth of the worst, and but you know, I'm worthy of that. I'll take first prize for that.
And it's one of the important signs taught to teachers so that they know what their kids are saying. They have to understand.
um, Paula, does anybody have a sweater that they're wearing that they want to come on and talk?
No, everybody's being very quiet tonight.
What is going on here? Is it like, you know, are we like
It's
like-
it's the Thanksgiving hangover for our friends in the States.
Yeah.
true? That's true. And everyone's just hanging out. That's okay.
And somebody
I don't-
mentioned it's referred to as Giving Tuesday in this.
Oh yeah, it is. It is Giving Tuesday. That's everywhere, right? Yeah. So somebody must be giving somebody something for a reason. That's awesome. Val, what is the hardest thing that you think you've had to take on in your young life so far, working with death?
That's a good question. I would say knowing that I inherently have more power in the dynamic, and that the hearing population who don't know about the deaf community and the culture and the language will automatically come to me for answers when I'm not expert. So it's been really challenging to balance that, to know when to step in and when to step back, and ensuring that I do as much as possible to always work alongside the experts, which are the deaf people, and to emphasize to those folks who really want to learn that they should be going to those folks. So that's been really challenging because I know that it's out of my control. I can't do a lot about it except for always emphasizing where to go and where to find the appropriate resources. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. What about you, Brenda? What's the hardest thing that you've had to deal with in your working career? Because you are enjoying your semi-retirement. You're an author now. You know, you're a beautiful human being. You have amazing kids. Your hubby is a super nice man that I've met many times, and it's so cool. But what is the hardest thing for you?
The hardest thing for me is to see parents that are in denial of the fact that their child has a hearing challenge and that they will do everything they can to think they can fix it. And they don't want to accept the differences in what those kids need to do to live successful lives. And that's heartbreaking to me to see that happen when parents are just totally in denial and can't accept it. They have to go through that grief process. I understand. And I try to help them with that. But that's heartbreaking to me.
And we sort of we let them talk about, I'm sure psychologically, or even as a therapist working with people who have children who are deaf, do we have them as interpreters as well? Can they speak sign? Do we have therapists that way? Do we have anyone that deep?
Not a lot. No, not many. We have a long way to go in that way.
Because it has to be difficult. And I totally understand from where the two of you come from, why we would be asking you all of those questions. Because, you know, you have the ability to do things that we don't. Number one, I find it I don't think it would be hard to learn sign, but I don't think I would feel comfortable with it. Can you imagine? And that's the problem, because I don't like to make mistakes, and I make mistakes every day. And I don't want to change somebody's impression of me because I wasn't signing properly. So we walk away from it instead. But really, we should be more focused and having people like you who encourage us to do so and not make it a job, but have fun with it, right?
Right.
That's what this show is about, to have fun with things and not to make it so hard, but resources are important. People are going to look this up now because it'll be out there and they're going to have a lot more information than they've had before.
And they need to recognize that there's a spectrum of deafness. There are people that are on the hard of hearing spectrum that speak only and don't sign, and all the way over to deaf people who don't speak and sign. We have to learn to accept that all and just incorporate it and accept it and learn to deal with it. It's going to be a tough battle, but I'm trying, and that's what I want to focus my next books on. Is Lily is going to meet some new kids and start to accept the different ways of
Wow, beautiful.
the deaf community.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
I agree with that. It's hard. I do agree that that's another part that's hard to see, because I work with kids and I see when they come into the classroom and they don't have any language, and how much the teachers have to, specifically the teacher that I work with who is deaf and knows what deaf kids need, how much they have to do to get this kid caught up, because the first 5 years of language acquisition was completely left out.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it really impacts so much more than people think. And I acknowledge that cochlear implants is one option, hearing aids is another option, and so is ASL. And all provided, kids thrive. The moment that kids get exposed, and you know this, they thrive, and their emotion, their behaviors change. I go from seeing kids who bite and kick and throw tantrums because they can't communicate, to telling me about how they watched Wicked just last week with their parents, and their favorite food is pizza. It's so hard, but the moment that the parents do accept it, again, the kids, it changes their lives.
Yeah.
Really,
that's amazing. I love that. And you guys deserve a medal of valor. You both do for what you do, and so many others do, because you're giving us hope for our children. You're giving them something that they didn't have before. And you do it with such compassion. And those are the things that I love the most about you guys. It's almost personal when I listen to you, how I've watched others struggle, and parents that I grew up with in Montreal that had issues. And I would welcome a deaf child to school, but I never tried to learn. That was my problem, because I was more afraid to do that. And they would grab my hands and teach me things, and I would be pretty good at it. But
scared. But
you know,
it's scary.
I'm the one who's afraid, but I shouldn't be. I'm the one who should be taking the responsibility to learn it. So
that's why we need people like us to get out there and educate everyone and just
absolutely.
continue. It's just going to be continuing education.
I know.
being okay making mistakes. I can't tell you the number of times I have signed the most inappropriate things while I was recording, like saying things I didn't mean that were very, very dirty.
You just have to laugh. That's all.
We laugh about it and we move on, and it's a memory to look on, talk about, and laugh about. It's part of learning a language, you know, it's just accepting.
And it is so important to do so. And when we learn to appreciate our families, and when they are trying, we need to be able to give them the resources like we've been talking this whole show. But it's to be able to, it's almost like you have to have a pamphlet or something in your back pocket. Here it is. Take a look at this. Let me help you do this. Let me help you do that. And everything will match what it's looking for eventually, because we fall apart when we think something's too hard. All human beings do that, you know? And it's just a tough life in so many ways. I want to talk to both of you towards the end of the show. We have about 9 minutes left, and nobody seems to be wanting to come on, Paula.
No, but there are a couple of questions.
let's have some questions.
Okay.
Laura asked, are new signs made for slang words? And if so, how do you inform people of the new slang, of the new sign?
I would say sign language is continually evolving, continually evolving, just as much as English is continually evolving. So you just have to keep in touch with the deaf community, um, watch vlogs, which are VLOGS. There's one called the Deaf Moth, I think.
Yes, the deaf moth. Or
The
is it
Deaf Moth, and it's a really good vlog to watch. Um, and you can learn some of the new words that way. There are apps out there that can teach you signs. I like to use the app Spread the Sign, which has it's an app where you type in the word you want to know the sign for, and then it pops up a video of what the sign is. So that it's continually evolving.
Yeah. And now with social media and technology, like it's out there. If you just know which content creators and followers to follow, you'll pick up the signs, including the new like cuss words and slang words and all of that fun stuff.
But you have to be careful because there are a lot of people out there that think they know sign and they're not right at all.
And learn from a deaf person.
Yes.
Don't learn from an interpreter like me. Don't learn from hearing people who are just taking classes.
Yes.
Learn from the expert, deaf people.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Beautiful.
That goes into the other question that came up from Selena saying, is it difficult to learn? And what would be the first steps into learning ASL?
In my experience, the first steps in learning ASL is you need to learn the alphabet and you need to learn the different hand shapes that are used for making the signs. You really need to take a class, maybe an in-person class, because you need that 3D motion of what people are showing you. You can't learn from a book. You can't. And so if you can find a place where you can take a class and learn the alphabet and the hand shapes first, that's a foundation for what the signs are used for words later in development of learning sign language.
So, thank you. I want to ask a couple of intuitive questions. Like, if I was going to sign for a ghost, what is a ghost sign?
Ghost.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. What is an angel?
Angel.
Whoa. Okay. So when, okay, if someone who is deaf and they would see a ghost, have you had anyone like that yet in either one of your days? And we know what your hubby does for a living.
Yes. Yes. But I don't think I've ever seen a deaf person see a ghost yet.
I'm going to be putting that out there.
Okay.
I also wonder if the resources are just not out there. I'm sure there are deaf people who are intuitive and
that's what I'm after.
Mm-hmm.
Readings. I'm sure they're out there. It's just not as widespread and well known. But I do want to add one more thing about learning ASL. What Brenda said is absolutely right, but socializing with deaf people.
Mm-hmm.
It's any other language that you want to learn. If you don't use it, you will lose it. So you have to get involved with the deaf community. If you don't, your fluency will just not.
Well, I need to have a barbecue with the deaf then, and I'll be on California to do it. Then we'll go to Illinois and do another one. You know?
Okay.
I just think that would be
I'll
great.
travel to California. That's fine with me.
Your daughter's there. Whereabouts?
That's right.
So that's pretty cool. So I am going to put you in the green room, girls, because I want to talk to you both before we go. I want to repeat one more time how we can get a hold of you. Brenda, you can go first and just share that with us if you don't mind. The
email address.
Yes, please.
There's no punctuation in here. It's just Lily's Footsteps Book at gmail.com.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's how they can get a hold of me.
Let's push sales on that book to go nonstop, okay? And then we can
Thank
use
you.
some of that money from what you're getting and maybe make some more awareness. And I love you for that, Brenda, more than anything. The frustration of retiring to becoming an author, you blow my mind, and I'm so proud of you. I really am.
Taking on
Thank
a
you.
life of its own. I can't believe it.
You brought it to light, and you should be taking a lot more credit than what you've done right now. You really
Thank
have.
you. Thank you.
Val, I couldn't have asked for any better than a great Christmas sweater. I loved your conversation. You don't stop smiling. Even when I've read you, you don't stop smiling, even at 6 o'clock your time in the morning. So I want to thank you for that and coming on this evening. And please tell us one more time how we can get a hold of you.
Yes, you can contact me through Instagram at monarch_ASL_interpreter, TikTok, which is monarch ASL interpreter. You can contact me via email, which we'll post. It's a little bit complex with punctuations, but it's v.avila.interpservices@gmail.com. And then find me on LinkedIn as well, too.
Oh, yeah. Are we friends on LinkedIn yet?
Sure. I don't think
I got to remember, but I butchered your last name, Avila. And it's such a beautiful name. And I'm going, this Frenchman's having a hard time with it. So
yeah, harder, Jim. It will be Avila Tamavong.
All right. Like, I don't even say Laura's last name because I'm afraid, you know?
Practice.
I am going to start practicing now. And once again, thank you both for coming on tonight. It was last minute.
Thank you.
It was so nice to have you both on here. And I look forward to having you on the show next year. We'll be more prepared and we'll have a lot more time to advertise to let others know that we're on here.
Thank you.
All right. So Paula, can you put them in the green room for a second, or I'm just going to say goodbye to everyone. Paula, once again, thank you very much for doing everything that you did. It was just amazing. Last minute, bringing guests on, and you put up with me, and I'm just turning my hearing aids off from you for later on, you know, because I can see that happening. I want to thank all our guests that came on here today. Everyone, thank you for the questions. There weren't very many psychic questions, but I wouldn't have minded to answer them. Next week's show is on. It's open forum. We're going to have Linda back. And then we have another week after that. And then we're on Christmas holidays until January. And then we're going to have a guest on and talking about UAPs, UFOs. And I have quite a few people that will be coming on. And I've connected with somebody through my friend from Skinwalker Ranch, and I'm just waiting to find out more information if he is willing to come on. But anyway, guys, I want to thank you all for coming on tonight. It was a blessing. You guys are super, and hopefully we will see you all next week. And have a good one. Be safe. I hope your Thanksgiving was great too in the US and everywhere else that were listening to us. And this time, I really got to figure out how to shut myself off here because this is a whole new computer. So we love you guys. See you next week. Take care. Bye now. Shoot. How do I do this again? I can't even find it anymore. I'm not leaving because I got to talk to you guys. Hang on a second here. Shoot.